This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. Welcome to another episode of Curbcast. This is a podcast where we review an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm in chronological order, scene by scene. My name is Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are at the tail end of Season 8 of Curb, Episode 7, The Bisexual, with Rosie O'Donnell in her third and, well, as of 2023 when we're recording this, her third and final appearance on Curb in this episode.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was her final appearance. But, yeah,
Well, as of now, yeah, as of recording, yeah. Who knows what season 12 is going to be like.
Yeah, I really like Rosie in this episode. I love the kind of cheeky tension between her and Larry. Yeah, and I just love her. My favourite part of her in this episode was when she was on the softball pitch as the catcher. She was just trying to suss Larry out, and she's like, something's not adding up. You know, and when he hits the home run, you know, she's convinced that he's doing something, and obviously he is. Yes. Yeah, no, I like Rosie, and I like her in this episode.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're both of their loves for Jane, Jane Cohen, who I actually like Jane as well. We'll talk about her during the episode, but I felt like she was a female Larry.
Yep. They had the same kind of energy. They got along, you know, similar sense of humor. And she... Actually, I didn't think about that, but, you know, we'll talk about that when it comes to the scene. But I'll put a pin on that, and I'll make a comment about, you know, why I agree with you about how she's a female Larry when we get to that scene.
All right, that sounds awesome.
If you're bisexual, for either myself or Ivan, you can fight for us by emailing us. We have an email address, curbcastpod@gmail.com. We're on social media as well. The handle is in our show notes, so you can check that out and support us. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/mishmashmedia. For $1 US a month, you can get access to our weekly episodes a bit earlier than everyone else. And finally, if you want to support us non-financially, you can just spread the word. You know, leave a review, tell someone who who likes Curb about us, or just do whatever you can to spread the word. We appreciate anything and everything.
That would be absolutely amazing. When you said you're bisexual, it reminded me of when Rosie says in the first scene, she's like, "Why do people have to be bisexual? Make a choice." You know, her and Larry argue about it.
Yeah, like how Larry's like, "Isn't half the population enough?"
Yes, no, I know. You have to have it all. Yeah, nice one.
You know, 3.5 billion people, or 4 billion people now. 4 billion people's not enough.
I know, right? There's always one person. There's always a person for every other person in the world. So
I think so.
You got a big pool there. You don't want to double your pool.
No. I think 4 billion people is enough.
That's plenty, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Anyway, Season 8, Episode 7, The Bisexual, aired in the US on HBO for the first time on August 21st, 2011. In this one, Larry and Rosie O'Donnell try to court the same woman. Larry takes Leon's advice, which gives him an advantage, but he finds it doesn't always work in the long run. And Steve, I was very surprised watching this episode. I watched it 3 times already, but watching it the first time, seeing Leon in the beaten up, damaged, dirty, dirty Prius. It was great to see Leon. So it sounds to me like, because we don't know what's happening, because we're watching these for the first time, we're not sure what's going to happen next episode, but I'm guessing Larry and Leon will probably be in New York, and they're going to bring all their LA shenanigans to the other side of the country.
Yeah, no, Leon was, Larry as well. Leon was on fire in this episode. I loved it.
He was great. But yeah, just seeing him, like, he drove all the way from LA to New York, and he had like all the fast food, you know, cups and wrappers and stuff in the car.
Yeah. You know how sometimes in a series, how they'll do an episode that's completely unrelated to the main storyline? It'll be like a side story. I'm just thinking of that new series that everyone's talking about, The Last of Us.
Great show.
Yeah, and like, you know, it's got the main storyline, but I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, as of us recording, they had a side story about a couple of men who fall in love, and they're surviving and just trying to live their lives. And it was a complete deviation from, it kind of intersected with the main storyline, but it was definitely its own thing. I'd love to see in Curb for this season, you know, an episode dedicated to just Leon's journey across America. You know, just all the crazy shit he would have gotten up to between LA and New York.
Well, I tell you what, if Curb was made for like network television, you know, like Seinfeld, and they you know, greenlit like say 23, 24 episodes a season, I bet you'd probably have like a Leon episode, or maybe like a 2-parter or something. You know how like those old TV shows, like not necessarily Seinfeld, but other like dramas in the 90s, they'd have like episodes which would deviate from like the main plot, you know, to kind of flesh out a backstory for like a character or something. And, you know, it would just, the focus would be on them. I reckon for Leon, they'd probably do a 2-parter.
Yeah, I think so.
And in the Prius, he probably probably only filled up his gas like twice.
Yep, he would have done a Kramer and lived on the edge.
Oh yeah, he would have for sure. But luckily he had the hybrid, which probably got him going a bit further than conventional petrol vehicles.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to be as risky, I guess, with a fuel inefficient car.
No, or a gas car, as they call it. Gas car, yeah, definitely. But that would have been fun, seeing, having like a dedicated 2-part episode about Leon's journeys and what he went through. I'd imagine he would have got through a lot. It wouldn't have been a simple point A to point B journey. I think there would have been a lot of shit that happened on the way.
Oh yeah, it would have been point A, point D, point C, point B, point A.
Run-ins with bikers, maybe met a couple of girls, maybe got with a girl and the boyfriend came in and tried to kill him. There'll be stuff like that.
It would just be basically Leon fucking his way across America.
Basically,
that's what gets him up in the morning, is the potential to have sex with someone. And if he's got a whole country ahead of him, he's driving it home in more ways than one.
I smell a spin-off when curb ends. If JB Smoove still wants to do it.
It's called Leon Fucks America.
That's the XXX version.
Yeah.
Leon Screws America or something. That'd be fun. Yeah. Anyway, well, we can only dream, right?
Yeah. If there are any producers out there who have lots of money and time, make that show for us, and we'll
give us bit parts as well.
We'll do a podcast about it
for sure, and give us some bit parts for like one scene. That'd be great.
We'll call it Ivan and Steven fucks Leon fucks America.
Basically, yeah. Well, we can play like podcast hosts, and then Leon somehow walks into our studio or something and does shit. We can do a scene like that.
I think so.
What the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah, he just comes into our lives and injects a shot of Leon into it, and all of a sudden we're just getting up to all sorts of crazy shit.
What are you Aussie motherfuckers doing?
Yeah.
You're down under motherfuckers. He'll say shit like that.
Gotta beat that down under pussy up, man.
Yeah, that down under pussy. Steve Irwin and shit. Crocodile Hunter.
Crocodile Hunter to the pussy hunter.
The pussy hunter, crikey.
You gotta be that stingray barb inside the pussy.
Oh no. Too soon. Too soon. You can only joke about that in 50 years' time.
Oh, well.
Anyway, let's get into it. Hey, scene 1 of The Bisexual. Oh, boy. Larry is at an art gallery in New York and is getting the number from a lady that he met. Larry says he is great at the Heimlich, and he lets her know that she doesn't have to worry about choking at dinner. And the lady seems to be getting on really well with Larry. We did mention before that her name is Jane. We find out that she's like a female Larry, and they have the same kind of sense of humor, which is really good. Larry asks if they can leave separately from the gallery so they don't have to see each other again before dinner later that evening, and the lady agrees. She laughs and she walks off. So a bit of an introduction, and you said at the start of the episode the reason as to why Jane could be very similar to Larry. So what's your reasoning?
Oh, it's more to do with the final scene that they're in. So I'll save it.
Okay. You'll save it for when they're at Cooperstown. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. No, but I like Jane. I think she's probably like one of my favorite Larry one-off girlfriends so far in Curb. Yeah, really funny, and she's just like a female Larry. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
She really understands Larry, which is incredible. And but you said you've got your theory as to why that could be the case. So I can't wait. Can't wait to find out. Yeah. Larry heads to the food table where he runs into Rosie O'Donnell and they hug because they haven't seen each other for at least a season, maybe 2. Larry tells her about meeting the quote-unquote most fantastic woman. Rosie says she did the same just then as well. Larry says he is smitten with her, as Rosie also says that she was smitten as well. Larry says that the woman he met was vivacious. Rosie describes her woman as the same. They also say that both of their ladies are Jewish, and they're thinking by this point, wow, like what a complete coincidence, like our girls we're smitten with them, they're vivacious, they're fantastic, and they're both Jewish as well. So, the quads, like the perfect formula for both Rosie and Larry. So, they're both pretty wrapped. Until Larry says her surname, which is Cohen. Rosie pulls him up on it and confirms if the lady's full name is Jane Cohen, and Larry says yes. They realise that they've been flirting with the same woman as they show each other the same phone number that they both got from her. Larry says that she must be bisexual, as they both agree that bisexuals should make up their mind on who to date. You already got half the population. What more do you want?
Exactly. So greedy.
Very true, very true. Rosie suggests that Larry back away. He refuses and says that Jane is his girl. Rosie says that she feels alive after meeting Jane and that Larry should stop pursuing her. Rosie says that Larry will be annihilated if he tries to pursue Jane, and Larry says that he will annihilate Rosie as well, as they both vie for Jane's attention. So we have seen in previous episodes with Rosie and Larry, they're kind of like, you know, they're friends, but they get into a lot of shit and they argue. Like we saw in the Denise Handicap where Rosie O'Donnell beat up Larry, it's implied, you know, chased him up the stairs. And also with the dog that Larry looked after in an earlier episode as well, the bow tie. Yeah, so Rosie and Larry, they seem to have respect for each other, but yeah, they seem to argue a lot too.
Yeah, they're a bit, I don't know, they're kind of like, well, it's a similar dynamic to most of Larry's friendships, like, except maybe Jeff, they've all got a weird tension. You know, even his closer friends like Richard, there's always like tension. It's never just simple and easygoing. So, you know, I think it's just Larry. Like, it's just, that's what being friends with him is like.
Yeah, that's what Larry does. And Rosie, yeah, she's really into Jane. So, I don't know, Jane flirted with both Rosie and Larry to get both their numbers. But I find it interesting how she, you know, gave Rosie and Larry both numbers. That's just really interesting. I don't know. Do you think maybe that Jane possibly loved Seinfeld? And, you know, Rosie O'Donnell in the 90s was like a big celebrity as well. And she had like a talk show and stuff, I think, as well. Do you think maybe she just like, she wants to get with them more for like the celebrity part of it more than anything? Or
no, I think she likes both of them for, you know, whoever they are. You know, she's attracted to Rosie and Larry for different reasons. I mean, you can see why there's an attraction between her and Larry. You know, there's good banter and they're having fun. Even off the bat, like she finds him funny and he's being his very occasional kind of charming, nice self, which isn't often. I don't know, maybe she's just like recently single, so she's just like putting herself out there more so than normal. Maybe she's in New York for like a set period of time, so she's just making the most of it. I don't know. I don't think it's because of their fame or their reputation. I think she's just, you know, she just happened to meet two famous people at, you know, at a similar time and liked both of them, so just thought, yeah, why not?
Something tells me that she's not a bisexual.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it got misread by Rosie. Maybe like Jane gave Rosie her number thinking, you know, we'll be friends. Because as we go through the scenes, there's never... Like, I don't think Rosie and Jane, as far as I'm aware, like, sleep with each other in the episode. Like, I don't think it's implied or anything. And I think Rosie's never set foot in Jane's apartment. I don't know. I feel like maybe Rosie, maybe in this episode, was really desperate and thought, oh, because someone gave me her number, maybe she's into me. But whereas she probably just wanted, like, a friend, you know?
Okay.
Because they go to, like, the baseball together and all, like, corporate box. And they're going to go to the Tonys, but then she cancels. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Just thinking about it now, I get the feeling she wasn't a bisexual. But
yeah,
Rosie kind of got the wrong message.
I think by them going to the Tonys, it was romantic. You don't take a friend to the Tonys, you take a date.
Well, Larry says you can take anyone to the Tonys.
Yeah.
You can take the guy
like,
on the street to the
people,
Tonys.
Like, you think of, like, celebrities or, you know, anyone. They always bring, whether it's their girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife or whatever, they never bring, oh, this is my best, or this is my new friend, Bill. It's always a romantic thing.
Okay.
You know?
So she probably...
So I think them going to the Tonys is like, that's a date. That's not I'm taking my friend. It's not, I don't know, like maybe celebrities do take their friends and I just, you know, don't pay enough attention to them. But I feel like if I got invited to an award show, I would assume it's a date more than just a platonic thing.
Ah, fair. Okay. Well, that was just a theory that I thought I'd throw out.
No, I don't think it's without legs. I just think it's more vague than, I think there's good points on both sides. That, you know, it could be platonic or it could be romantic.
But it is kind of rude that she's trying to pursue two people at the same time, would you think?
Yeah. No.
Well, not rude, but kind of like...
Oh, it's when you're single, if you're dating, if you're really putting yourself out there and you want to date, you know, really, not aggressively, but like, you know, if you just like, if you want to be a busy dater, then sometimes things just conflict. You know, I've been single at various points in my life and I've been dating more than one person at a time.
Right.
Because I've met more than one person I like, and you're allowed to. Like, it's not the other person's business. Like,
yeah.
You know, if you're dating someone, unless you've like discussed exclusivity or like unless you're comfortable talking about it, you know, unless it's like laid down as a topic of conversation, it's not really your business who the other person is or isn't dating.
Yeah. Fair.
So yeah, not saying that her cancelling on Rosie to, you know, have more sex with Larry is like the right thing to do.
Yeah,
that is rude for sure, but it's not unusual when people are single and they're dating, you know, more than one person. It's people.
Man, I've been out of the game for too long. Yeah. I've forgotten what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also like it's just fertile grounds for comedy. Like how often in sitcoms, like in Seinfeld, or I watch Frasier a lot. It happens in Frasier all the time, where he tries to like date 3 women at once, and it all just falls apart because they all find out about each other. It's like it's pretty like typical grounds for even though Curb's not a sitcom, it's pretty like safe territory for a comedy show to like the protagonist dates more than one person and it causes complications. Like that's pretty it's a well-worn trope that's got a lot in it. So
I was going to say it does feel like a well-worn trope from the 90s. Yeah.
I mean, I can think of a million shows and movies where someone tries to date more than 1 or 2 people and it all falls apart for whatever reason. Like they're exhausted, or they book the same night by accident, or they run into them out on the street, or whatever. So it's also pretty easy pickings for comedy's sake too.
Yeah, true. Okay. So I guess we can say Jane is indeed bisexual. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Well, they do. The writers do.
I mean, she could just be also. She could be like a case of like, if she is recently single, maybe she's like, I predominantly like men, but I've always had even like a slight curiosity about women. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And she's just
sure.
I mean, that's still, I guess, technically bisexuality. It doesn't have to be 50-50.
True.
Maybe Rosie is like the first woman she's dated and she's just taking it slow to see if that's something she wants to dive into, so to speak, more. So, I don't know. There's so many possibilities. But I think, she's into men and women in whatever capacity.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
She's a freewheeling, free-dealing woman.
She's got the whole population.
Yeah, all 8 billion, well, probably at the time, maybe 7 billion people.
Yeah,
good for her.
It's 8 billion now, but 7 billion, 8 billion, does it really matter?
Nah. Like I said before, there's always someone for everyone. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
For Jane, there's 2 people.
Plenty of fish in the sea.
Plenty of fish, yeah, from the mullets to the marlins. There's something for everyone.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Are you kidding me? Is this a joke?
How's it a joke? Here's the number.
How did you get that?
She gave it to me.
She gave it to you?
What, am I, a magician? I know that you have a card on you?
Wait a minute, why would she give us both a card? It doesn't make any sense.
Obviously, she's bisexual.
I fucking hate that.
What is that?
What is that anyway?
Huh?
I mean, pick a side already, right?
Absolutely.
Can't you make up your mind?
Larry is walking down the street at night and Leon greets him. Larry is surprised to see him in New York. Leon says he drove all the way from LA to New York and Larry is commenting on how dirty the car is. Leon says he picked up 8 people and drove them in the car. Leon said he needed a break from his housemate back at the house, which confuses Larry as they go into Larry's building. So, we were saying that if Leon had his own spin-off or his own special episode with his trip, we'd probably have a segment where he had 8 people in the car, which is extremely dangerous and illegal. So, that would have been definitely one thing in Leon's episode, if you had like a Last of Us style, like secondary storyline. Yeah, and we can see also the car's really dirty. I think there's a bit of minor damage in the car as well. And I mentioned before, like the fast food wrappers and cups and stuff, they're all strewn on the dashboard there. So Leon obviously wasn't cooking on his way to New York. He definitely picked up lots of fast food on the way as well. And the biggest revelation, he said he needed a break from the housemate in the house. So when Larry left, Leon brought someone in. So I can see Larry was very shocked, and understandably so.
Yeah, I mean, Leon loves, he's a people person. He loves getting up to stuff. Like him and Larry are, thick as thieves. So he probably just got bored on his own. He's probably like, I need someone to replace Larry, because him and Larry sort of vibe off each other all the time. So I could definitely imagine Leon spending like 2 days on his own and going, yo, fuck this shit, and just like inviting some random person, someone that he met 5 minutes ago, like, come live in my mansion that is not actually mine. I live in the pool house, you can live in the main house. So it makes sense to me that Leon would get a housemate very quickly after Larry left. Yeah,
Leon's definitely the kind of person that needs like a soundboard to go.
He needs someone to just vibe off. Like he's his own man, but he loves having like a little sidekick.
Maybe he invited like the Starbucks barista or something. He's like, hey, do you need a place to live? Come live here.
I imagine it would have just been on the fly. Like, I've got this house. I've got this free house basically. Come live in it, whatever. Like it wouldn't have been like, I'm going to advertise and have people come and interview and inspect or something. It would have just been like, cool, I don't know you, but move in tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it would have been like probably someone he dealt with professionally. With like a business transaction, like a coffee or his food or something. It would have been something like that, guaranteed.
Sure.
And the housemate's just there on his own. And Larry, understandably, is very shocked. It's like, housemate. I love how the scene cuts just as he's talking about it. That's very good. It's like, because you think he would go on like a big rant about the housemaid and stuff, but yeah, it's like, housemaid, what are you talking about? And then the scene cuts. It's good. Very good timing there.
Yeah, for sure.
They both enter the apartment and Leon is stunned at how beautiful it is. Larry says it's not his apartment, it's Rennie's apartment, which was referenced in 2 episodes ago when Matt Tesla arranged it for Larry on his unplanned New York trip. Larry explains the Rosie Jane situation. Larry says he has a disadvantage as lesbians know what to do down there. And Larry says, imagine if both him and Leon were bisexual. Larry says he'd feel very uncomfortable. I feel very uncomfortable, Larry. Very uncomfortable. They both agree. Leon asks where his room is as he settles in. Yeah, Leon's very easy to please. But he just says, where's my room? And then just gets really comfortable in like 10 seconds. Good for him.
Yeah, he's always just at ease in every situation. He's just, he's got the confidence and the swagger. He just like walks in and owns it.
He does, yeah. He's got good swagger. I was worried that we probably wouldn't see Leon for the rest of the season, and I think because Leon is by this point is such a popular character on Curb, I think the writers were probably thinking, shit, we got to bring Leon in, otherwise we won't see him for like another 5 episodes of the season. What do we do? And it was very, very good, and very good to bring him in to New York, and it makes perfect sense that he drove all the way too. I'd imagine he wouldn't be a flyer.
No.
He's one for adventure, Leon.
Yeah, for sure. And I imagine it would have just been like an impulsive decision. Would have just been I'm going to come see Larry, and then like 10 minutes later he's in the car.
Yeah, and he would have done it on a whim as well. He would have been like, I'm just going to go. Fuck it.
Yep.
I got nothing to do. It's great. So hopefully, look, I think based on what I think could happen, like we don't know what's going to happen for the remaining season. We haven't looked, but I think New York is probably the place to be. Yeah. So, and I said last week that I get the feeling because there's no real. I keep saying like at the start of this season we did like the whole post Cheryl thing where the divorce finally went through with Cheryl, and then it's Larry, going on some dates and all that sort of getting up to some shenanigans, and like this season kind of needed like something. So the trip to New York, Larry's shenanigans in another city is perfect. I think to see out the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully that's the case. Like I said, we're not too sure. First time watchers, and we haven't looked at what happens next. So there you go. The next day, Larry is picking up Japanese takeout when a man from LA named Duckstein greets him. I had to look at his name on IMDb. I'm like, because I was like, did he say Duckstein? Like, quack, quack, Steen? And that's his name, Duckstein. It's like, okay, Duckstein. Cool. Okay. Duckstein, yeah, cool, yeah. All right. Duckstein greets Larry. He invites Larry to lunch the next day. Larry says no. Duckstein says, what about Thursday? And Larry says no. So basically, Duckstein appears to be this is his first time on the show, I think. Duckstein's just a guy that Larry kind of maybe is an acquaintance with, but doesn't really like too much. And Duckstein was basically saying, look, we're in another city now, we got to hang out. And Larry's like, no, not necessarily. We didn't hang out in LA. Why should I hang out with you here? Yeah, which is very true.
He just says it bluntly, point blank, I don't want to hang out with you. And he's like, this is your life. It was this wide, and now you're making it this small. And I love how Larry just goes, I want to make it smaller.
Yeah, he just closes his hands together. That's great.
Yeah, and to me this is another example of Larry just not sugarcoating who he is anymore. I feel like if this was season 5, he would dance around the fact that he didn't want to see him. He would come up with excuses or change the topic, but now he's just like, I don't want to see you. We don't hang out in LA. No reason for us to hang out in New York. We're never hanging out again. Don't talk to me. He just like, there's no mincing of words.
It sounds like he never really had respect for him anyway.
Yeah.
Just never liked him. Yeah. He doesn't care.
And like, I think he does have a point of like, if we never hang out in one city, just because we're in a new city doesn't mean that changes. Like, it's not the city.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like, if I saw a dude in Melbourne, where I live, and, I went to, like, Brisbane or Perth or whatever, and I saw them there, and I barely saw them in Melbourne, and if they said, let's go for lunch, I'll be like, I'll probably like Larry. I'll be like, why? Like, I haven't seen you for, like, 10 years, man.
I don't think I'd be as harsh or as rude as Larry.
No, not as harsh.
I wouldn't indulge it. I'd be like, think of a nice way to say no, or yeah, maybe, or, I'll text you, or something like that. Those, like, kick the can down the road lines that we all do of like, oh, yeah, well, I'm busy this weekend, but I'll text you, man, and then you just never do.
No.
Yeah, I think it's just like, well, why? Yeah, being in a new location doesn't change the fact that I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah, and especially for like Larry, who he has basically no respect for Duckstein. Like, little to no respect.
No.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah. Duckstein thinks because Larry wasn't invited to his daughter's bat mitzvah, it must be the reason why he doesn't want to go for lunch, and that Larry may hold a grudge. Larry says he was offended that he was even invited, as they're not friends. Usually you get offended for not being invited to something, but Larry got offended for being invited to it.
Yeah, he's like,
brilliant.
We're so not friends that you inviting me. I mean, it would confuse me as well. Like if I knew someone, but we never talked, We had nothing in common. We just knew each other through like an old job or like through someone, a mutual friend or whatever. But we had nothing to do with each other. If they sent me a wedding invitation, I'd be like I wouldn't be offended, but I would definitely be confused. I'd be like, what? Like, do you not have any other friends or like no family or something? Like, I don't know you.
But yeah, like you said, we wouldn't be as rude or hostile as Larry.
No. I'd try and at least be sensitive or nice.
Me too. Because we're decent people.
Yeah.
Unlike LD.
Yeah.
Larry ends the conversation and confirms that there'll be no meals together, not even coffee, not even a snack. Nothing. Duckstein said, like you said earlier, Duckstein says that Larry has made the concept of life smaller based on his attitude. And Larry says it should be smaller, as Duckstein uses his hands to say you've taken it from this, as in like it's like really wide, to something really narrow with his two hands almost together. And Larry says, I prefer it closed, I prefer it like this, and he puts Duckstein's hands together. I prefer the concept of life to be that big. He just doesn't give a fuck. Like I've said before, post-Cheryl Larry is the best.
Yeah, he's unleashed. There's no buffer, no sugarcoating. It's just like, I say what I think and I think what I say.
Yeah. Probably one of my favourite scenes in this episode. This one. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just like Larry's just doesn't care about social etiquette, politeness, nothing.
No.
All out the window.
Love it.
I love it, me too, yeah. Jane greets Larry at her apartment and laments not being able to go out as her cat is sick. Jane seems to be, like we mentioned a couple of times, on the same level in terms of humour as Larry, and they're both hitting it off very well. They find that the miso soup in the Japanese takeout bag was spilled all over the food. Larry says he'll go back there explaining what happened. Jane says that she had sushi last night and it's not a big deal that they don't have Japanese food again. She said that she had sushi at Yankee Stadium with a connected friend of hers. She confirms it was Rosie O'Donnell. And she asks, do you know Rosie? And Larry claims that he doesn't know Rosie. Yeah, he's thinking at this point, he's thinking, shit, Rosie's already taken her on a date. She's already like one step ahead of me. I gotta try and, make it count.
Gotta catch up.
Yeah. The scene cuts to both of them making out on her couch. As Larry asks what Rosie thought of Jane's apartment, Jane says that Rosie hasn't been there yet. And Larry gets impressed and they continue making out. So he was again probably thinking after Yankee Stadium, maybe like she took Rosie back to her place and they got it on and stuff. But no, never got to that point. Very interesting. So maybe Jane's, letting Rosie maybe simmer a bit or maybe give her a bit of time before she accepts her into her apartment.
Yeah, she's, taking it slow.
Rosie, I don't know how close to real life Rosie, fictional Rosie is in Curb, but I'd imagine Rosie in Curb is probably very forward and direct.
Yeah.
I'd imagine she'd probably say, Jane, let's go to here. Jane, let's do this. Jane, let's do that. And Jane's probably she's more on the level, pretty chill and stuff, and probably takes it as it goes, as it comes. But I feel with Rosie, maybe Rosie just kind of goes, let's go to Yankee Stadium. I got a box there and stuff, and Jane's like, yeah, cool. All right, that sounds all right. And then Rosie's like, you want to come back to my place or can I come back to yours? And then Jane's like, hang on. let's take it easy. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a feeling that I get. What do you think? Rosie might be a bit direct in this universe?
Yeah, I think so. She doesn't beat around the bush.
Yeah. Beat around the bush in public, I should say.
She doesn't beat around the bush. She dives straight.
Yeah, well, ideally in a private setting, not in public, preferably. Not a Yankee Stadium while eating sushi, but whatever happens behind closed doors, why not? Yeah, so Larry is pretty wrapped. He's like, hell yeah, even though Rosie's got one date on me, she hasn't gone all the way with her, so I've got a chance.
Yep.
Good for him. Larry is explaining to the Japanese restaurant host about what happened to their food and how distressing it was, while he's telling the story about fighting for a bisexual's love. I love how Larry just explains it the bisexual situation to the host as if it's something that everyone deals with, some people might deal with sometime in their life. It's so yeah, I've got this thing, I told you about the bisexual and all this stuff, and the host is like, oh yeah, as if he can relate to it. It's great. It's great. The host doesn't give a fuck.
I think he's just being polite.
He's being polite, yeah. But Larry just explains it something that we may experience, in stages of our life.
Yeah.
He's looking for empathy from the host, but the host has never been in that situation, so he's got no clue.
Yeah, he's just okay.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, okay, cool, bisexual, whatever. Larry says they need to secure the bags next time, as the host offers another bag of food for him to settle the issue. Larry says an apology is more than enough. The host apologizes and bows, but bows only about, Larry claims 15 degrees, which is about right. It's more of a big head nod, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a full bow.
Nah, it's a shit bow.
Shit bow.
Shit, as the Japanese tourist says. Larry says, again, the host's bow is very impressive and he accepts the apology. Larry says next time the bag should be secured for the food. The host reminds Larry of the apology because Larry is like, you know, talking more about the food and he's kind of going on like rambling at this point. And the host kind of reminds Larry that he apologized, you know, you can kind of leave now. And Larry bows back and leaves. So yeah, the host, he just doesn't want it. He just doesn't, he's got other shit to do. Instead of getting some random like geriatric man, you know, or near geriatric guy coming in, this loony, talking about bisexuals and spilt miso and shit. He doesn't need that.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. It's great. Larry and Jeff are throwing a softball at a field in preparation for a game that they're playing as Rosie shows up. Rosie says that her and Jane had a great time on Monday. Larry asks who goes out on dates on Mondays. It's like Monday, no one does anything on Monday. Rosie comments on Larry's throwing arm and she teases him about it. Rosie says that she's going to the Tony Awards with Jane as her date. Larry says that anyone can go to the Tonys, even he can get a guy from the street to go to the Tonys with him. Rosie says that Jane is a huge theatre buff and says that Jane has gone to all these Broadway performances and opening night of another performance. She's seen Cats, both the British and the American version. And went to opening night for this thing, you know? And so Rosie's basically saying Jane loves the theatre, and Rosie brings her along, and she walks off laughing. Larry tells Jeff that he can't compete with that, and he doesn't know what he's going to do. Interesting how, like, we don't see Jeff much in this episode, just like in a couple of softball scenes.
Yeah. He's a background character in this episode.
Yeah, really odd. I wish I saw a little bit more Jeff. Like, even if he went to, like, the Japanese restaurant with Larry and they had a bit of a yarn or something, that would have been fun. But, no, just nothing. Yeah. Weird. Who knows, probably scheduling conflicts or something, or they just thought there was no need. Like, Jeff, you know, played a pretty prominent role last episode, so maybe they just want to give him a bit of a breather, you know?
He's too busy trying to win Ricky Gervais back.
Oh, that's true, yeah. He doesn't want to, like, associate too much with Larry. Just for, like, softball and other things. Yeah, he's trying to get Ricky back. yeah. They're playing the softball game as Larry is getting ready to pitch to Rosie, who's batting. Larry pitches and Rosie hits it way outfield as Rosie makes a home run and teases Larry, which annoys him. The scene cuts to Larry back at the apartment telling Leon that he is defeated. Leon says he needs to try harder, and he says that men have something that women don't have, and he says, a penis, and to not be a victim. Leon adds that men also have balls, and that women have quote-unquote gloves to catch the balls, and balls and bats rule the world, he says. Leon offers Larry a Viagra pill as Larry stares at it. Larry says that he doesn't juice, but Leon says in this case you probably have to win Jane. Larry not into the juicing, not into the Viagra. I'd imagine he'd have enough stamina to, you know, go. I mean, he's been with several women after Cheryl, and he seems to be doing all right.
Yeah, I don't think it's physical stamina. I think it's just, like, you can have a lot of stamina but still have a erectile dysfunction. So I don't think the stamina or the fitness is, because he's kind of wiry, he's got that like old man wiry strength and you know, energy, you know, like he's usually pretty peppy, so I think that would translate into the bedroom, but you know, he probably just needs a little help downstairs. You can be fit and active and like engaged but still have a erectile dysfunction, and I think having Viagra to like help him downstairs would just reinforce his vitality, the rest of his vitality.
Yeah, it'd make him feel very, very full of vitality.
Yeah, and he feels confident as well because he knows that she's into him, like, you know, he knows that it's a sure thing, so you know, that's not a stress he has to worry about. It's not like he's thinking, oh, you know, is she into me? He already has that reassurance. So I think that combined with like knowing that he's gonna stay hard, you know, just plus combined with his already like natural kind of peppiness, I guess, he's in a pretty good position.
He's a sure thing. Jane is in bed after sex with Larry and she is very satisfied. Larry brags about how good penises are, so basically implying, you know, if you're with a man, you know, it's better. See? How good are penises? Penises are great. Larry offers Friday dinner, but she says she can't wait that long, and she asks for Thursday dinner, which she will cancel for him. Larry says goodbye before deciding to go for round 2 in bed. So Larry's getting dressed, and he looks at Jane, who's kind of, you know, she's naked, but she's got the sheet over her, so you don't see her, you know, her bits. And Larry looks at her and goes, you know, he starts undressing. He's like, I'm ready for round 2. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then scene cuts. Vitality really shows. Larry walks past a group of Japanese tourists in a park as one of them knocks into another man holding an ice cream cone and the ice cream falls to the ground. Larry observes I call him the knocker, apologizing and bowing a lot lower than the host did to Larry. Larry seems very surprised. He goes up to the knocker and asks about his deep bow, and the knocker explains why he did it, out of respect. Larry says the host, he explains the story with the restaurant host, and he explains that the host only went down a few degrees, maybe like 15 degrees. The knocker says that that's not a sorry bow at all. And if anything, he was a little dismissive of Larry. And Larry gets very surprised at that. The knocker calls the bow a shit bow. And you think like maybe the tourist, maybe there was like a Japanese term for it. Like maybe you think that maybe he'd say like in Japan we call it like this, like Japanese word. Like you think it'd be something, you know, kind of technical, but he just says, no, we call it shit bow.
Yeah.
I love how all the tourists are just like nodding. It's like, yeah, it's like they know what shit bow is. Like, yeah, shit bow, shit bow. Yeah, they're all just nodding in agreement. Shit bow.
I do like that. Yeah, just shit bow. Just that description.
Yeah, it's good because it's not what you expect. Like you expect it probably like a Japanese word or something. You know, because usually there's like words in a language for particular things. So yeah, you think maybe there's like a word for someone who doesn't bow all the way. But yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's just like, and it's like as if they acknowledge like that's the term, like in Japan. It's like shit bow. It's like shit bow. Yep, that's what we call it. Brilliant. Probably my second favourite scene.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's up there for me too.
Larry thanks all of them and he bows for thank you. He says, can I bow? And they say he shows sure. And he bows basically like 45 degrees. So yeah, good for Larry there. Actually, no, it's more like 90 degrees. Sorry, I should say. Yeah, it's like 90-degree bow. Pretty, almost, his nose nearly touches his junk. That's how far he bows.
It's a strong bow.
And yeah, he thanks them and he walks off as well. So yeah, very, so the tourist kind of helped him explain the situation to him. So like a very shallow bow is basically a sign of disrespect. Even being dismissive.
He says that, you know, he's better off getting no bow than that bow.
Yeah, he said, you're better off getting no bow than shit bow. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Larry is at another softball game. He's stepping up to the plate to bat as Rosie says that Jane cancelled the Tony's date. Rosie wonders what Larry is doing to take women away from Rosie. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention Rosie in this one is the catcher behind Larry. I forgot to mention. Rosie wonders what Larry is doing to take women away from her, and Larry says he has a new exercise regime. Rosie asks if he is juicing, and Larry vehemently denies this as they prepare to play. Larry hits the ball into the outfield and makes a home run, and yeah, Rosie is frustrated. So a bit of an opposite to the last softball scene where Rosie hits a home run. Larry does the opposite. Larry does the same thing, and he gets the satisfaction, and Rosie is frustrated. Yeah, Rosie, like, again, probably goes into her, like, Curb Universe personality. She seems very demanding. She seems to get upset when she doesn't get things her way, and yeah, she just questions when things don't go her way. Like, there could be, like, a conspiracy behind it. So, yeah, she's saying, how can, you know, an old bastard like you, Larry, you know, with probably with the libido of, like, a wet towel, you know, at your age, like, how can you, you know, pull women from me? What are you doing? You needing some medical assistance with that?
Yeah, she's sus on him. She wants to know what his deal is.
Yeah, because she's not getting her way, so she's very frustrated. She really likes Jane.
And look, she has a reason to just be sus on Larry in general anyway, because he's not very trustworthy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, they've had run-ins, you know, for 2 episodes this series. So yeah, they've had lots of trouble together.
You're a single city your whole life. Now all of a sudden you're Mr. Power Hitter. You're Mr. Grand Slam, Mr. Get Anybody, even Jane, huh? You doing something, Larry? Tell us, what are you doing? Can you explain this to me?
Well, I'm on a new regimen. I'm working out. I'm changed my diet. Makes a big difference.
You're working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it?
That's it.
What are you juicing, Larry? Are you juicing now?
I have never taken performance-enhancing drugs ever. Period.
Duckstein is sitting on a bench with his lunch and he greets the man sitting next to him, who walks off. Duckstein begins to eat and he begins to choke on his sandwich. He tries to perform a self-Heimlich maneuver, which with no success, and he collapses. The scene cuts to Jeff and Larry walking outside. Jeff explains what happened to Duckstein and he adds that he is in the hospital and that he will be fine. Jeff says that if Larry went to lunch with him, then Larry would have been able to help with the Heimlich. I love how it's like a throwback to like the first scene where Larry says he's good at the Heimlich maneuver, so you don't have to worry about choking for Jane. And yeah, Duckstein was ironically in that situation, but Larry wasn't there to help him. So Duckstein ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Very nice subtle writing. That's what I like about Curb, some of those subtle, you know, references to either like earlier scenes or, you know, earlier episodes or whatever. Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah. Larry brags about Jane cancelling the Tonys to go with Larry, and he's very impressed, and he thinks that he's in, he's basically in with Jane, and Jeff is very happy for him. Larry enters the Japanese restaurant to get his order, and the host is stapling his bags. Larry is very impressed. Larry tests the miso soup, which is all taped up, and there's no leaks coming out of the container. Larry explains the bow situation, and he says that the host didn't bow low enough, and he calls it a shit bow. And even the host is surprised. Host is like, shit bow? What? What kind of term is that? I guess it's not a universal Japanese term.
No, I mean, not everyone knows everything, so yeah.
Yeah, I just love how he questions it. He's like, shit bow? What? I was like, what? Shit bow? They begin arguing about the bowing authenticity. Larry says that the host's bow was a shit bow, and the host is offended. Larry says he'll research on the internet. That's a very 2000s, 2010s term, isn't it? To find out about the bow. The host suggests another restaurant for Larry to go to, as he bows lower to Larry, and Larry walks off. So yeah, the host realizes that Larry's called him out, and yeah, he's kind of like, fuck, he learned from someone Japanese that I disrespected him, and I gotta kind of own up to it.
Yep.
And also tell him to go somewhere else. Go eat somewhere else. Basically saying, don't come back to this restaurant. Leon is bragging about his New York lifestyle on the phone in the apartment as Larry says that he needs to talk to him. Larry asks for another Viagra. Leon says he is out. Leon says to go solo and Larry wonders what to do, and Leon has an idea. He suggests that Larry go to Washington Square Park. So I'm guessing that's probably where all the drug dealers hang out, including Viagra dealers.
There's a park in Berlin, I can't remember what it's called, but it's right in the middle of town, and it's basically like a drug park. If you want any sort of drugs, you just walk through there and you'll be offered, yeah, you don't even have to go up to people and ask. They come up to you and they're like, hey, do you want something? Can I help you out? It's very implied in the statements. It's not like, hello, I would like to offer you drugs and these are the drugs I have. But, you know, if you know, you know. I was there last year and walking past where my partner and I were staying, we'd walk like past the park most nights to, you know, go out or whatever, even come home, and there'd always be guys being like, hey, how's your night going, guys? You know, do you want anything? Can I get you anything? Like, it's always suggested. But, you know, everyone knows that it's basically just like a free market for drugs if you after that.
Berlin, I'd imagine, be pretty open with stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, the cops patrol it and stuff. Like, it's not like they you know, have stalls set up. It's still like, you know, it's got an element of subtlety to it, but it's easy if you want it.
Yeah, it's still illegal.
Oh yeah, it's right in the middle of Kreuzberg, which is a pretty probably like the main area of Berlin for like going out. Like, it's got bars and clubs and stuff everywhere, and it's got like a lot of just weirdos and, you know, freaks and, you know, just the odds and ends of Berlin. It makes sense in that area of Berlin. It doesn't feel like unsafe or threatening. It's just like, it's just how it is there. It's just the culture, I guess.
Yeah, cool. So that reminded you of Washington Square Park that Larry walks through.
Yeah, just the fact that there's like a park to go to meet a drug dealer, that just popped into my head.
Nice. I love when Larry's talking about, you know, Larry needs to be like up and he needs to, you know, be able to do what he's got to do. He goes, you can't have a motherfucking jump rope hanging from your pants.
Yeah, just the visual of a jump rope hanging from pants made me laugh.
yeah, for sure. Jump rope. I know, so good. Leon always has a thing for anything, doesn't he? He always has a line.
Got like a really good metaphor.
Yeah, very good metaphor, yes. Fantastic. That was really, really good. The scene cuts to Larry walking through the park at night, observing drug deals all around him, like you saw in Berlin. He approaches an older gentleman with a younger woman by his side. I love how he's like the Viagra drug dealer. He's not like your typical drug dealer. He just looks like an old dude with like a young girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he's like in a suit and dressed up and everything, like he's going to work.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be like a gangster drug dealer who's just got all the women all over him, even though it's just one. But, you know, he's an old, conservative, well-dressed man, but he's got this kind of like big boss drug dealer energy.
He does, and he's got like a younger woman, probably like 20 years younger than him, you know.
Yeah, and she's just completely besotted with him. She's just staring at him because he's got so much swag, and he's an alpha, I guess.
He's got the pills.
Yeah, and he probably gives her a lot of pleasure because he's permanently hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. He just walks around with like a freaking the freaking stick of gum in his pants.
Yeah, with a carrot.
Yeah. Or a bratwurst or a carrot or some kind of long item, long food item. Yeah,
a security torch.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, and is that a security torch, or are you happy to see me? Huh? Larry buys Viagra off the man, and the man gives him 2 pills. Larry thought it was 3, but the man says 2, and Larry gives him the money and he walks off. Yeah, very good how they use like an old man to be like the drug dealer.
Yeah, it makes so much sense that, you know, younger people would be dealing weed and coke and whatever else, but an old man would be dealing Viagra.
That would, yeah, and it was good, very, very good. He probably, he came from like his big corporate job. He's like an upper management or on the board of like a corporation, and as his side thing for a bit of fun, he deals a bit of Viagra on the side.
He could be a pharmaceutical executive, and he just nicks the stock from work and sells it on the side for cash.
Oh yeah, that could be it. Yeah, and he's approaching in retirement. He wants a good nest egg, so he can, bang women half his age, into his until he's really old.
Yeah,
so good for him.
Good for him and good for them. Good for everyone.
Good for everyone. Everyone's happy.
Yep,
that's the main thing.
He's getting his end wet, and they're getting their they're getting dick down good, so it's all good.
Yeah, everyone wins, right?
Everyone wins. Everyone comes.
Yes. Hopefully everyone, yes.
Yeah.
Larry and Jane arrive at Cooperstown as he accidentally steps on her shoe as they're about to go up the stairs. Jane asks for a bow for an apology, so I'd imagine Larry probably told Jane the bow situation, and she probably would have got a good laugh at it, a good laugh about it. Larry bows as his Viagra pill falls out of his pocket. Very clever juxtaposition for two things or two features of the episode, the bowing and the pill. Perfect combination.
Yeah,
really good.
Of the two, the two sort of center points of each storyline.
Yeah, excellent. Jane spots the pill and asks if Larry is juicing as she gets upset. So as soon as she sees the pill, she changes. She's upset with Larry, can't stand him. She throws the pill at him and she walks in with his ticket. As Larry asks for his ticket, he keeps bowing in apology as she walks through the doors.
So this is the part where I said, I realized after you said it at the top of the episode that she's very similar to Larry. The thing that made me realize that is that she breaks up with him for a pretty petty reason. I don't think it's not like he's doing anything deceptive. He's allowed to use Viagra, and you know what I mean? That's a very Larry thing to do, to find out something about someone and for him to just completely turn on that person when that person hasn't done anything wrong. Larry using Viagra is not an insult to her. If anything, it's a compliment, because he's I want to put in extra effort to make sure that you're sexually satisfied. And he's obviously delivering the goods. And he's an old man. Of course that's gonna be not necessarily required, but there's a high chance of it happening. I don't know. I think her breaking up with Larry for what I think is a very unfair reason and a very judgmental reason, is what Larry would do if she was using a female version of Viagra or doing something that wasn't actually wrong, but he would be like, no, I can't do it. I'm put off. So that's what I meant when I realized that I agree that she's very Larry-like in that regard, that she's just no, can't. You've done something I don't like and I hate you now. You're I'm off you forever. There's
she turns. She absolutely turns.
Yeah, there's no redeeming. There's no let's talk about this. There's no I need to think about things. It's just she doesn't even say why it's bad. She's just she just is offended and she's it's over. See you later.
Completely. It's all absolutes like Larry. There's no middle ground or no foundation for discussion.
Yeah, no empathy, no discussion. It's just but she doesn't even say why. If she said, I consider you using Viagra as cheating or something. If she doesn't even say a reason. She's just she just makes it obvious that she doesn't like it, and that's it. There's no explanation.
And for sure. And Larry and Jane, takes Larry's ticket as well. Mm-hmm. Larry can't even enter Cooperstown.
Yep.
And it's full. Yeah. He can't buy another ticket. It's Full House. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I feel she's probably a little bit. Like I said, she's the female Larry as well, and that makes perfect sense. That she'd be very pedantic about that sort of things. Very nitty gritty, little things like that. She gets really pissed off and flies off the handle.
Yeah, and maybe the only thing I can think of that why she would be so offended and just end it on the spot without any discussion. Maybe she feels he's cheating, not cheating on her, but he's being dishonest or something. But even then, it's if I were in that position and I met someone who obviously I like as a person, they get along, and he was giving me very obviously fantastic sex, whether he takes Viagra or not, I wouldn't care. I'd be
no.
whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because I'm getting rammed and I love it, and I also like you as a person. Whatever the reason for that is, I don't know. It'd be like if I went out with someone and they had really terrible migraines and that affected their quality of life, and they needed to take medication to make their migraines go away, and therefore they were a happy person and provided me joy. I wouldn't be what, you take migraine medication? You're cheating. You know what I mean? It's
you're juicing.
Yeah, it's you're doing something that makes your life and my life better. And it's and it's completely, it's they cost they're cheap and they're over the counter. Well, not over the counter, but they're you go to the doctor and get a prescription. It's not there's some illicit drug or, it's just bewildering how offended she is. And she doesn't even give him a reason. It's just I was what the fuck?
Yeah. Maybe she had a divorce or a breakup, like Larry did, and she's a bit footloose and fancy free like him.
Yeah, I mean, she's an attractive woman. She's intelligent. It's not she has to be, she doesn't need to hold on to Larry. She's well, I've probably got a line of eligible men who can, provide me with great sex. It's not she's invested too much into it or doesn't have many other options. But I just think she's really harsh and just completely unreasonable.
Yeah, she just like, you could see like she was so happy and, you know, whatever before, and then like she sees the pill, she just like becomes a different person. It's just such a transformation in like a second.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like,
but to me, it'd be like if someone dropped a Panadol, or sorry, for our American listeners, a paracetamol.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, I use it because I get bad headaches." I'd be like, "Okay, that's fine, whatever." Like,
but you don't have sex. So, you don't need to take Panadol.
No. Sex, but it's like it's so like inconsequential to me. Like it doesn't change the person. They're not doing something dishonest or illegal or like unethical. They're just doing something to help make their life better and therefore my life better. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no logic to it at all, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's a shame because you think Larry and Jane might have had at least a couple of episodes together, but no, not the case. It just ends abruptly like that, all because of a bow. Bow was the undoing.
Here I am trying to say, like, why was this woman mean to Larry? And, like, why would she be so unfair? Then I have to remember it is Curb Your Enthusiasm and nothing ever works out. It all just goes, everything goes to shit every episode.
Everything.
So, yeah. Of course it's going to fall apart.
Of course. And it's great, too. It's great to watch.
Yeah.
In the final scene, Larry is at Duckstein's bedside in the hospital as he's being served lunch. He goes, "Oh, Salisbury steak. Beautiful." Duckstein says this is the start of their friendship. Duckstein is praising the Salisbury steak lunch as he asked the nurse to give Larry a tray. Larry gets a tray and he looks at the food in disgust. Duckstein claims that this will be the first of many lunches together. So, yeah, there you go. Duckstein got that lunch with Larry and he's satisfied. Albeit in a hospital and shitty, overcooked, overboiled, over everything hospital food, but it is food nonetheless. So Duckstein's happy.
He's just happy to, to get some time with Larry, to have a friend.
Yeah, and to have, like, in his eyes, a friend in New York.
Yeah, someone.
Someone, yes, for sure. And yeah, that was The Bisexual, my friend. 3 Larrys out of 5. I think it was, generally a good episode. Not one of the strong ones of season 8. Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell was probably in her best out of the 3 episodes she's been in. And very funny. Like, funny parts of the episode. The whole bowing thing was pretty hilarious. The Japanese tourist calling the bow a shit bow. Like, you were expecting like some long-winded like Japanese name or maybe like a Japanese slang word or something. But nope. It's shitbao. And all of the Japanese tourists acknowledge it. That was brilliant. So funny. Yeah. But yeah, still, like, generally, 3 Larrys out of 5 for me. What about you, bud?
I give it 3.5. I am pretty much in agreement with you. A good episode, not a great episode. Leon, I think, is the star of this episode, as, he's usually pretty hard to beat in any episode. I like the storyline. I like the, a revisiting of the tension between, or the sort of the competitive tension between Rosie and Larry. I like that Larry, had like a week or 2 weeks of just like good quality dating and good quality sex. Like, I do get, even though Larry's a piece of shit and he, like, I would argue that the more the show goes on, he's more deserving of shitty outcomes in his life because he's turned into more and more of a prick.
Yeah.
I still do cheer a little bit inside when I'm like, yeah, Larry's on a little winning streak, and
he's getting some.
A couple of weeks. Yeah. Even though he was like, he was juicing, he's still like, he really liked her. Like he said, he's like, I'm smitten and like having good sex. And like, he was on a little winning streak and, I cheer for that. So that's always nice to see when it happens from time to time. But yeah, not a classic episode, but yeah, pretty good.
Did the job, yeah. It was good, yeah. Did the job. The whole bowing storyline was fun.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very, very good. The hostess didn't give a shit. It was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was another episode of Curbcast. Thank you so much for listening. Really much appreciated. You can listen to us on any podcast service, and we're on Patreon as well, and a few other socials. You can find all those details in the show notes. And we're back next week to do season 8, episode 8 of Curb, so 88. We're looking forward to that one. 3 episodes to go, and we're really pushing through season 8, aren't we?
Yeah, no, we're punching through it, and it's been great. I'm looking forward to wrapping it up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely cool. And we hope you stick with us for the rest of the ride that is season 8. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.